Can the Lakers repeat as champs?
Jen, if I take your question literally, can they?
Can they?
I think the Lakers are one of 5 teams that I wouldn't be just absolutely shocked if won the championship. The Lakers, the Clippers in the West, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and Brooklyn in the East. Now, I've got my favorites. I'm picking Brooklyn and the Lakers in the finals, but I wouldn't be just floored if any of those teams won it. So can, yeah. Will? I don't think so. The Lakers, after what I saw last night, and I picked Brooklyn before that, I think the Lakers are more vulnerable than I even expected. I feel much better about my pick of Brooklyn now than I did even before yesterday's game. And Shannon, the Serengeti is in Brooklyn, New York. And the Lions are Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving, and a little cub named Blake Griffin. But the Lakers, obviously, we saw it. I mean, we all saw it last night. LeBron is not, at this moment, even close to 100% physically. I mean, you could see it. He had trouble finishing around the rim, even as he backed guys down. He missed some of those shots. That's not normal LeBron James. So he's still working his way back if he's going to get close to 100% this season. He's having to work his way through these games on skills and smarts. And he's obviously got plenty of those, but that's different than him having that high-flying game to go along with the skills and the smarts and the jump shot that he can hit in a streaky fashion. So that's number one. Number two, the Lakers, and I've said this all year, guys, to me, the advantage they have over everyone, including Brooklyn. The Clippers would maybe be able to match up with them size-wise, but the Lakers can go big. Andre Drummond, 7 feet. Anthony Davis, about 7 feet. LeBron James, 6'9". And last night, even when they went big, they played small. The first half, I spent the whole first half yelling at my television set saying, play big. You're shooting too many threes. Go inside. And Anthony Davis was floating around the three-point line, shooting, at the perimeter. And I'm like, what is going on? And he couldn't post up Draymond Green, who is a great defender, but 4, 5, 6 inches shorter than AD, maybe 5 inches shorter. So they could play big, I think, and have an advantage against finesse teams, but they don't. They don't play big, and what they did was they went to AD at the 5, which was smart. We know how good that lineup was last year. And yesterday in the second half, they play AD at the 5. He wakes up, plays much better, and they're able to win the game. But the challenge will be if that's probably their best lineup. And so Andre Drummond's probably not going to play as much as we expected at times. And if they try to go against Brooklyn with AD at the 5, like last night they played small. They went small to match up against Golden State. And they fortunately won. They won't be able to do that against Brooklyn because Brooklyn's got 3 guys that can do what Steph did last night. And so that, I think, is a problem. I would say to the Lakers, newsflash, you can still shoot threes with post-ups. You could post AD or Drummond or LeBron, and if they double or triple, kick it out for a 3.
Right.
Because everything they do is geared towards shooting a 3 as if they shoot it like the Clippers or the Nets or Golden State.
Or Utah.
And so I just think at times they don't play their strengths. So I think Brooklyn will get them if the Lakers survive the West and Brooklyn survives the East.
But I think moving forward, Chris, most of the teams that they're going to see in the Western Conference play a more conventional lineup. You see Rudy Gobert is going to be in the ballgame. Yoke is going to be in the ballgame. DeAndre Ayton is going to be in the ballgame. And even if you go to the Eastern Conference, most of those guys have a big. Skip, they had last night, you see Drummond, he's trying to guard Toscano Anderson. I'm like, what the hell you got? Vogues. You can't have that. They got Draymond as their biggest player on the court, and they got Drummond in the ball game. AD is guarding Draymond, and Drummond is trying to guard a little 3 on the perimeter. I'm like, what is this? But the difference in the ball game is when they got Dennis Schroeder butt out of there. Dennis Schroeder's trying to play for a contract. He's picked the wrong time to try to show everybody, oh, I'm still legit. I deserve a max contract. And you saw what happened, Chris? He tried to go 1-on-5. Frankie V called timeout, got his butt out the ball game, got Caruso back in the ball game. You might be talking about playoff Caruso because you see what he done. Oh, the Caruso.
I think he's your new.
The Caruso.
He's your closer.
Don't do that, Skip.
Well, he is.
You see what I'm talking about, Chris?
He closed last night.
They put him in the ball game, and it was. I do believe this is a more favorable matchup, the Suns, because of the conventionality of what they do. They're not a team that's just going to float around and try to shoot a bunch of threes. They don't do a whole lot of dribble handoff like Draymond does with those guards that jacket up threes. I like what I saw. But when it all needs to meet the role, what can they do? What are we number one in the NBA at, Skip? Defense! And when we needed to lock it down, what we do? Locked it down. So if the rubber needs to meet the road against the Suns, against the Clippers, against Utah, against Denver, or if we go over there and see that three-headed monster at the Brooklyn, got something for them too.
Think about what I just said to you. A goofy-looking white guy is now your closer, right?
You be hating.
Huh? I'm serious. That's kind of scary.
Play our Caruso.
You couldn't even cover the point spread last night against a team that doesn't have Kelly Oubre or James Wiseman or Damian Lee. Obviously, there's no Clay and KD anymore. You couldn't cover. I was highly unimpressed with the whole night.
Yeah.
And what have I told you? Your guy, the big penguin, a.k.a. Kareem Abdul-Drummond, Andre the Giant, he does not fit. What happened in the first half? He clogged the lane and he stopped the basketball. It's what you don't want. They were much freer and more open. You got AD camped more down where you need him to camp when you got the big penguin out of the way.
Skip, but that great game that AD had against Phoenix, the 42-12, 5, 3, and 3, the big penguin was on the court.
He was there occasionally, but he was not much of a factor. He dominated Ayton. Ayton took 6 shots in that game, right?
That's what we do.
Scored 6 points.
And who had him? The Penguin had him.
I don't think the Penguin had him. I think AD had him more than the Penguin.
Locked him up.
So, look, Chris, real quick, I need to get your pick of this next series. What, do you give Phoenix, 2 games?
I don't see any way Phoenix can beat the Lakers. I'll give them 2. Yeah, 6 games.
I'm going to give them 1.
I'd be shocked if it went past 6 games.
Okay, they got a break here because this is a great matchup for them. Steph wasn't a great matchup if he could get loose and make 6 threes, and he did, and he kept it close. And he was also getting loose on Schroeder, your new target on your team.
Ain't no new target, you know.
And he was getting loose on him and just making all kinds of little whipped cream swirling dervish shots at the rim. So the point is, this is a great matchup because LeBron has played 260 playoff games. That's almost 40 more than the entire Phoenix roster. They had a great year. They overachieved. CP3 is a great leader for a young team, but his problem is he's a classic overachiever. He can do it with tenacity and savvy, but he can't do it with height because he's about 6 feet tall to LeBron's 6'9". So what is CP3 in the postseason? He's 53 and 58. That's 5 games under 500. LeBron, to his credit, is 172 and 88. That's 84 games over 500. This is a mismatch. And we saw the mismatch when Phoenix came just, 10 days ago, it seems like, to Staples, and they were fighting for the top seed in the West. And what did they do?
We beat the brakes off them.
They stunk it up. You guys beat them with no LeBron and no Schroeder. To your point, Schroeder should have stayed out, right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
But let me ask you a question, Chris. Do you believe, because last night in the first half, AD, Schroeder, and LeBron was 428. Do you believe they'll play that bad again in any half the remainder of the playoffs, no matter how far they go? I do not. I do not believe they'll go 4 for 28 in a half.
No, I mean, for LeBron to shoot that poorly is just highly unusual. Even him going, 7 for 17, I think he was total. That's unusual for LeBron. So I think the more he plays, he's going to shoot around that 50% range. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm going to amend my pick, Skip. I'll say I think they will take him out in 5. Phoenix, DeAndre Ayton,
agree.
Devin Booker in their first playoff game, first series. they're going to be shell shocked. So
Yeah.
I got the Lakers in 5.
But I do think.
I
go
thought
ahead.
also, and I'm glad you brought up Schroeder. Shannon, because I like the Lakers. If you notice the second half, LeBron was bringing the ball up. LeBron was like playing point for the most part. And we've seen this year he's been off the ball more. And I've liked some of that, him at the elbow or on the wing. But when he's at the point, he can control the tempo of the game. And I think that's big for them. They might not need it as much against Phoenix, but going forward, I like LeBron handling the ball as the point guard and AD at the center. I think that gives the Lakers their best chance to repeat.
I agree. But I do think that going forward, LeBron needs to start drinking the new drink he's advertising now, Mountain Dew Rise, because he needs to rise. He didn't have any lift last night.
Yeah, so in other words, the ankle is injured.
Ankle is still an excuse, right?
There you go.
I mean,
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.